Hi guys, I'm back. I'm healthy. I'm recovered. That was a really gnarly virus, but enough about me. I wanted to give you a couple tips and just share something kind of fun with you for your next essay assignment, which is due tomorrow by midnight. This is your descriptive essay. Okay, so I've gotten some questions. There are some people who feel like they're at a loss, like they don't know what to write about, and I've given ideas, but then I was thinking, you know what? I have a solution for this. I have an answer for this. I wanted to share something with you that I do in my face-to-face classes and my English 101 courses. And in those courses, we actually use this book called Limitless by Jim Quick. In this book, he talks about beliefs, but not in the way that we talked about it with the first essay for essay 1, beliefs, in other words, that propel us forward. But he actually talks about beliefs in his book Limitless that talks about limiting beliefs and the beliefs that we tell ourselves that we continue to perpetuate that tells us that we can't do something. So it's that little voice in your head that tells you, no, you can't, no, you won't, no, you'll never. And the reality is that it's all in our heads, right? We really can't do anything. So I wanted to share a little bit of a snippet from this presentation that I do in my 101 classes face-to-face on ground. And I wanted to give you a little bit of inspiration for your descriptive essay, just in case you haven't decided what you're writing about yet, just in case you want a little bit of inspiration. And I'm going to share with you, of course, what I did for this, because as you know, I like to do assignments with you guys because writing is fun. So I included that here too. So let's get started. He talks about limiting beliefs and how they creep up in our self-talk. So this is the way that you talk to yourself, right? The things that you tell yourself that nobody else can hear, right? But these are the things that kind of just, revolve in your mind throughout the day. So these are all the things that we're convinced that we cannot do. Now, people actually study this, right? This is based on real psychology and psychological studies, especially mental health studies. So Jan Bruce, Dr. Andrew Chate, and Dr. Adam Perlman call these beliefs, these limiting beliefs, iceberg beliefs. And so I wanted to give you a nice little visual for that. I'm going to scroll down to this one because it's nice and neat and compact and very simple and straightforward. So this one, as you can see, actions are the tip of the iceberg, and then everything beneath that are all the things that impact what we do and what we say. So our behavior, the way that we talk to other people, is dictated by our habits, our thinking, our beliefs, our personal values, and our identity. So this all makes up our core values, and these are things that really no one else can see. They're not privy to these things. The only thing that could give them a glimpse of it is what we do and what we say. So, like I said, people study this. So Dr. Janice Vilhauer, director of Emory University's adult outpatient psychotherapy program in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Science in the School of Medicine, says, the inner critic is not harmless. It inhibits you. So when your self-talk is negative, they're describing that as the inner critic. The inner critic is that critical voice that you carry in your mind, and you probably got it from someone else. You probably heard it from somewhere, and for some reason it just stuck to you like glue, and you're so used to it that you probably don't realize it's not you. It's criticism that someone else gave you that you kind of just latched onto for whatever reason. So she's saying the inner critic is not a harmless thing. It inhibits you, it limits you, and it stops you from pursuing the life you truly want to live. And may I add, the one that you deserve. So she says it robs you of peace of mind and emotional well-being. And if left unchecked long enough, it can even lead to serious mental health problems like depression or anxiety. Just think, who is your inner critic? Right? So If you're wanting some inspiration for the descriptive essay that's due tomorrow by midnight, you might want to think about this. This could be a really fun way to complete this assignment. Talk about who your inner critic is, right? And that is a descriptive essay, because even though it exists within your imagination, you're making it up, you have to describe it to the point where we can see it, right? The reader can see it and it feels real and authentic. So this was the advice that Jim Quick gives in his book Limitless on page 84. He says, if you, based on what Dr. Janice Vilhauer said, he says, if you can create a separate persona for your inner critic, one that is different from the true you, you'll be considerably more successful at quieting it. And so this is the exercise that he recommends, and I did an assignment based on this. So you could do this for your descriptive essay, and I think they'd be really cool to read. Give your inner critic a preposterous name. Okay, so get creative with this. Come up with a name to give your inner critic. Give your inner critic outrageous physical attributes, right? The one that's always telling you, oh, you're no good at this, you can't do that, you'll never make it, right? Make this a character in your mind, a ridiculous character. Make it downright cartoonish and describe it to the T. This will fulfill the requirements for your descriptive essay. Now, I know I said here, write a paragraph about it, because this is something that I use in my other class, and we do a series of shorter writing assignments, a lot of them. So I made this assignment shorter for them. But for you guys, if you wanted to take this subject, this topic, and this inspiration and use this for your descriptive essay, you are very welcome to it. And I encourage it. I think it would be a lot of fun for you to do. So you're going to need more than 10 sentences. You're going to write an entire essay. But in order to get that fleshed out to be an essay, other than just describing it, so you could spend your introduction kind of describing what this inner critic looks like, and you can use in your body paragraphs what types of things the inner critic says to you that is discouraging to you. So how does the inner critic's voice sound? What does the inner critic say? Describe it in detail, down to mannerisms, down to facial features and tone of voice and style of dress, right? The way that the inner critic walks, right? I want you to include all of that. And now that you're spending all this time describing that inner critic, this gives you probably like half of an essay. Well, how do you get the other half of the essay? I'm glad you asked. If you choose to use this as an inspiration for your descriptive essay, which I think could be a lot of fun, then you can use the second half, like the last body paragraph or two, plus the conclusion of that essay, and describe your inner encourager, or like I like to call it, your inner can-do coach, right? The one who actually tells you, hey, you're great at this. You could do this. Hey, that's perfect for you, right? The one that actually has the inner voice that tells you positive, reinforcing things about yourself. And all too often, that's the voice that we unfortunately tend to silence, right? We dial the volume, I can't talk. We dial the volume down on the inner encourager. And a lot of times we turn the volume up on the one we shouldn't be listening to, which is the inner critic. Okay, so I want you to describe the inner encourager in just as much detail as you did the inner critic. Make these characters feel real. And if you're doing that, describing this in great detail, down to mannerisms, facial features, facial expressions even, tone of voice, and style of dress, the way that they walk, the way they sound, and the things that they say to you, then boom, you've got a descriptive essay that's going to be pretty awesome. What if I told you you're a genius? I'm going to tell you that you're a genius, but you'll see why later. This is for another part that you'll see a little bit later. So I'm not going to just leave you hanging. I'm going to show you an example of what I did this assignment, and I did it in the form that I had my other classes do it, which was like a shorter writing assignment. So I have 2 paragraphs, so I'm going to share that with you. So here's my inner critic. My critic looks like a female cartoon version of Ben Stein's character from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Shout out to everybody who knows that movie and has seen that movie from beginning to end. She has a high-pitched, nasally, monotone voice and wears eyeglasses that continuously slip down her long nose, which looks like a hook as she talks. And I'm imagining in my mind that when this happens, her glasses are making sound effects. They're going whoop, whoop, okay, as she's talking. She's incapable of reading the room. She's also cross-eyed. So even as she talks and says negative or doubtful things, I don't think she's talking to me because she's not looking at me. So how would I know? She's wearing a plaid jumper. She's got stringy brown hair that she wears in a tight bun that looks like a bird's nest. There's actually a bird nesting in her hair that squawks while she talks, helping to drown out the noise of her thoughts. And she's also bow-legged, which means that the way that and I mean like extremely, so that when she walks kind of crooked. So when she's walking toward me, she's kind of also walking like away from me in my mind. The heel of one of her shoes is broken, so she's constantly wobbling, struggling to balance herself as she talks. This and the squawking bird often interrupt her train of thought. So much of what she says is disconnected and becomes nonsensical very quickly. She's very skinny and she wears navy blue socks with black buckled shoes. They look like a witch's shoes. One sock is always slouched down and refuses to stay up, and sometimes she rambles on about her allergies. So this is a character that I created that's just silly, cartoonish, and you know what? I don't listen to her, right? So the one that tells me, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, as soon as I start feeling doubt, as soon as I start feeling any self-doubt about anything that I want to do, I immediately think about this image, and then I can dismiss it easily and quickly. Do you see what I'm saying? I like it. You guys should try this. Even if you don't do this for your descriptive essay assignment, I strongly and highly suggest that you try this just as a personal exercise because I think it would be great for you. Okay, so my inner can-do coach, this is my favorite. My inner can-do coach, or my inner encourager, looks like a grandmother in a wooden rocking chair on a wraparound porch because I love wraparound porches and I loved my grandmothers. She's honest, but very encouraging and supportive. She tells it like it is. She sort of looks like Maya Angelou, who I also really love and connect to her writing, and her voice sounds like hers too, because I'm also obsessed with Maya Angelou's voice. Deep and rich tones that almost sound like singing when she speaks to me. She listens and observes. She's wise and kind, and her eyes show it. Something about her face always seems to be smiling, even her eyes, which have crow's feet that extend from the corners of her eyes like rivers. She wears a beautiful blue dress and has salt and peppered hair with a short haircut and a beautiful smile that reveal pearly white teeth that gleam. There's even the scent of peach cobbler in the air wafting over from the windowsill. Don't ask me why, but I love peach cobbler, and for some reason when I was imagining my inner can-do coach, there was peach cobbler wafting in the air, okay? And so I put it into my description. It's very descriptive. See what I did there? So if you want to do this, you can easily turn this prompt into a descriptive essay. Have fun. I hope that helped, and I will see you guys in other videos that I post for you. Happy writing as always, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.